Well, good morning, everyone. Today is May the 2nd. My name is MightyStream, and I am with you today to do the Just for Today in a meditation. I hope that you're having a beautiful morning. And if you're not up yet, I hope that you get up soon and that you have a beautiful day. Take charge. Well, let's take a moment of silence followed by the wee version of the Serenity Prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our H.O.O.D recovery services. H.O.O.D, H-O-O-D, is an acronym that stands for Hope Offered on Demand. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and get into our reading. I feel like the earphones are falling off me today, so give me just a second to make that adjustment. Let me share the screen. Oftentimes, I pull up the Just for Today right before I'm ready to record. So today, May 2nd, just maybe, there is one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. Basic text, page 18. I have a feeling this is going to be deep. Let's go ahead and read it. It says, when we first came to NA, many of us had great difficulty accepting the spiritual principles underlying this program, and for good reason. No matter how we tried to control our addiction, we found ourselves powerless. We grew angry and frustrated with anyone who suggested there was hope for us because we knew better. Spiritual ideals may have had some bearing on other people's lives, but not on ours. Despite our indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles, we were drawn to Narcotics Anonymous. There we met other addicts. They've been where we've been, powerless and hopeless, yet they found a way not only to stop using, but to live and enjoy life clean. They spoke of the spiritual principles that had pointed the way for them to this new life of recovery. For them, these principles were not just theories, but a part of their practical experience. Yet, we had good reason to be skeptical, but these spiritual principles spoken of by other NA members really seemed to work. Once we admitted this, we didn't necessarily accept every single spiritual ideal we heard, but we did start to think that if these principles had worked for others, just maybe they'd work for us too. For a beginning, that willingness was enough. Just for today, just maybe the spiritual principles I hear spoken of in NA might work for me. I am willing, at least, to open my mind to the possibility. You know, in Narcotics Anonymous, we have a saying that says the 3 spiritual principles that are indispensable. There's 3 that are indispensable, and they are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. I think that any person that is honest, open-minded, and willing, as we say, it's a quote, we are well on our way with those 3. And so I like this reading. I like this reading, one, because it's hopeful, right? it gives the individual reading it the opportunity to see, as they're reading, some spiritual principles they're clearly applying. For a beginning, that willingness was enough. For a beginning, their level of honesty for the reader is enough, because you have to be honest to a degree to be able to admit that you have a problem with something that you cannot control. Using drugs is just a manifestation, a symptom of our disease of addiction. And that's why we have to be careful as recovering individuals, because we pretty much gravitate towards anything that is mind and mood altering. I used to share, when I would share, I would always end my share with sex as a drug. Even like, why do you keep saying that? Because for me, it is. It was mind and mood altering. Whether I actually was in love with the person or not was irrelevant. And so I found that my obsessions would transfer. I would stop one thing and it would transfer without my permission to something else. Generally, something else I was already doing. Like, I'm trying to think, honestly, what new habits I picked up after stopping, using drugs. After I stopped, what new habits did I pick up? There's things that I was already doing, but I did more of, right? I was already a person that studied the Bible. I believe that I was called into ministry at the age of 3 or 4. My first recollection of having a classroom that I created in our garage to teach the Bible was at the age of 4 in a dusty old garage. So I was already doing that, right? And I never stopped, even in my failing or failures or complications throughout life. I never stopped doing that. What opened up for me after I stopped using was the ability to actually believe that what I was reading was also for me and not just the other people, right? I was already exercising. So what I'm saying is there's things that your disease of addiction will transfer to, but generally speaking, they're not new habits. They're things that you're already doing. And so that's why we have to be really mindful, because the disease of addiction will sit down or suck up another habit that you're already involved in. And you'll think, this is just for me, I'm assuming that it's similar for every recovering person, because there's so many similarities when it comes to the disease of addiction. But the reason why I needed to be mindful or be careful was because where the obsession and compulsion will sit down on top of another habit that I already have, or transfer itself to something else that I'm already doing, it's tricky to be able to note it, right? Excuse me. It's tricky to be able to note it because I'm already doing this other thing. And I'm clearly doing it, not with it being in mind that I am actually doing something wrong, right? Or it may be wrong, but morally speaking, I find that it's okay because I'm doing it, right? And so because of that, what happens is that it transfers itself to something else, and you may notice after it has picked up in frequency that you're doing it. So I noticed that I want to say my obsession. Like I'm a foodie, right? So I love to snack. I don't necessarily love to eat, but I love to snack, right? I like healthy food, and because I don't always have what I think that I need to have that's healthy, and like my ideal lifestyle would be vegan, right? So because I don't always have that stuff or have the energy to create and do things because I'm allergic to soy, first of all, right? So I'm allergic to soy. So that means that a lot of what I would want, I have to think outside the box for vegan. But what I noticed that after I stopped using, food became more of an obsession, but I didn't really notice it because I needed to eat on a day-to-day basis to live, right? I needed to eat. It wasn't like it was a bad habit to have a meal. It's a good habit to eat three square meals a day and 6 small meals a day, right? So, or 3 square meals and 3 snacks a day so that you speed up your metabolism naturally. So I was already doing that. When I noticed it, it was almost too late because I was getting so heavy, I couldn't exercise the way that I used to. It's like, man, when did I start slamming on full plates of food like this? Right? I used to eat just off of a small saucer plate and it was plenty. But now I'm even looking at seconds of pasta. Who eats like seconds of pasta, really? So it got away from me because it was something that I was already doing. And you need to figure that out, because there's other behaviors that you have that you're already involved with. And when you stop using, there's a tendency for the disease of addiction to transfer over to those other habits. There's the saying, anything in excess is too much. Anything in excess is too much, right? So I believe that intolerance to spiritual principles is a natural instinct, right? Um, Especially when it comes to us applying it to other people. I think love is great and joy is awesome. Being mild is really a good thing to have. Um, Being patient is also a very good spiritual principle. Honesty, having open-mindedness, right? So you're not so dogmatic about everything. People feel that you're somewhat approachable and they can have discussions with you that don't always have to go your way. It's amazing the interactions I have with people. Sometimes they want to imagine that they're open-minded, but a lot of the times I can tell just by the look in their eyes when I'm talking to them that they've already judged everything that has just come out of my mouth. They're just waiting for me to take a breath so they can correct it. Um, and so I'm just saying that these spiritual principles are really, good ideals, but we have an intolerance. We have a natural born intolerance to spiritual principles, especially as it applies to us using them, applying them in regards to other people. Because at the core of our disease is self-centeredness, right? So at the core of our disease, we're self-centered. We have a natural inborn instinct to want to preserve us, preserve ourselves, almost at all costs. And it takes filtering out those things. One obsession, one value or bad value, right, at a time. That is a process, and it doesn't happen overnight. That's why when newcomers come into the program, they, the basic text tells us we lost all social races, right? So when newcomers come into the program and you see them at a meeting, they can still be very much street, very much coy. There's still a lot of behaviors that they will continue to have for a while because they 9 times out of 10 did not come in with a sponsor, or when they came in with a sponsor that they were completely disconnected from during the time that they were using, right? If they relapsed and came back, they may still have a sponsor, but it's just a name only. They're not doing any work other than just focusing on not using. And that's a huge task. And lo and behold, after they see that there's some things that they might do or say that other members are like, what did you just say? Huh? Okay, so now they say, oh man, I need to stop shoplifting. Yeah, you need to stop shoplifting because you're going to look like a fool, clean in jail because you couldn't stop going into Family Dollar taking people's stuff, right? I remember there was this one, she shoplifted so much, right? And I hope she makes it back, but I just got to the point, I'm not going to the store with you. No, I will not give you a ride to the store. No, do that with somebody else. Because there's no way I'm going to the store and then I am sitting in the vehicle or standing in the front waiting for you and you've been taken into the back because you got caught stealing some earrings. No, I'm not getting ready to do that. Right? So a lot of times the newcomer will find out that just having a spirit of surrender is not enough. You need to do some work and you need to start getting on top of your step work so that eventually you can say from step 12's point of view, we apply all these principles in all our affairs, right? So we come in intolerant, but a lot of times pain or uncomfortability will force us to become more tolerant of spiritual principles. And at that point, at that sweet spot of the pain of change becoming less, right, than the pain of not changing. Because we're like, I don't want to change. That's too much work. Why should I? No. Half of the things I have in my closet or in my bedroom are things that I stole. So why should I give up my comfortableness of having these nice things without paying for them? Right? Why should I do that? But after you have some uncomfortability surrounding, like say maybe the fear of having to go to court and have videos shown of you shoplifting, after you get uncomfortable with that behavior, then that sweet spot is attained and you have to access it. That sweet spot of I need to make a break for it. I need to change now, or this is going to drag me back into actively using drugs because you're already using something else, right? Because it's transferred. And then you stop. It's just like the person that has stopped smoking cigarettes. And admittedly, addiction to nicotine is pretty intense. So when a person stops smoking cigarettes, they might go back to it, but if they get any amount of time of not smelling like smoke or not having, now you can vape, but I find for me, when I'm around people that are vaping, if I'm in a closed environment with them, it affects my skin and makes my skin tingle. Like there's an allergic reaction to that vape, right? So I prefer not to be around people that are vaping in a closed environment. But just say a person that's smoking cigarettes and they stop, they begin to taste food differently, right? They begin to smell how bad their curtains actually smell. And it's possible that if they have not gone through their house and cleaned their walls, right, that the whole house will still smell like smoke, or their carpets, right? They may not really see or know or notice how that particular habit has seeped into every fiber of their home until they stop. They stop smoking, they go out, they come into their home, and this smells like a chimney. I had a sponsee, my goodness, I would love to go visit her, but I would almost die from allergies because I'm not used to being around people that smoke. And I couldn't figure out. I was laying, she was on the couch and I was in her room. She gave me her room to sleep in. And please. I felt like there was, I don't even know how to put it, but I felt like I was sleeping on a perpetual bed of nicotine smoke. I could not breathe. I could barely see. My eyes were watering so bad. And I came out and I was like, what? I cannot sleep in there. Did you open the window? Yes, I opened the window, but it feels like someone is smoking literally underneath the bed. Like it is so much. I can't handle it. It's just, I would hate for you to leave just because of that. I'm not planning on leaving, but I can't sleep in there. Like, we need to go ahead and get started on your step work because I'm not going to be able to stay up all night and all day. So you need to wake up and we need to get going on your step work so I can get back to my hometown. So when I went back in there to collect my things and change, there was a trash container that was nothing but ashes. She was smoking bed. And I was like, oh, that's why it's so strong. She has this little tiny trash container shoved over here. And it literally is right where, the head of the bed would be. This is where she smokes. And I was like, heck no, no. She's gonna have to wake up and we're gonna do the step work and I'm out of here. And I never stayed the night again. Oh, I take that back. I stayed the night again when she got really sick and was in the hospital. I did stay there again. Um, but for the most part, I was just like, I can't live like that. I'm not going to. So when a person stops smoking, they start to notice the change. And once you notice the change or the benefit of you ceasing to do something, you become more open to the possibility of not doing some other things. Oh, okay, I conquered that. Okay, okay, that's what non-smokers are always complaining about when it comes to smokers. Okay, now, okay, I've put that down. I can do something else. And how devastating it is when they get stressed out and go back to smoking because they have to start all over again. And that's just one small example. of being able to use spiritual principles to benefit you in every area of your life. Because the disease of addiction will transfer. And if you're not on top of it, you will find yourself caught in it. So I want to encourage you today, leave you on that note. Maybe it's not that you need to stop smoking. Maybe it's that you need a further inculcation of a spiritual principle in your life. You need to become more tolerant of them. And you can do it. I believe that you can do it. Think about it. Just really think about what it is that you are intolerant about and make up your mind to become tolerant. I have some exercising I absolutely have to do today. I have to. I waste a lot of money on exercise equipment and gym memberships to be as out of shape as I actually am, right? It takes up a good chunk of my income and it's being wasted. And my mindset is I have to cancel my YMCA membership because of a horrible experience I had. But I have other memberships and I have tons of workout equipment, really, literally almost in every room in my house. I have so many pairs of workout shoes that I only wear them when I feel fit enough to wear them. Is that not ridiculous? Right? So my obsession transferred over to health and fitness, but now I find myself in relapse mode in that area and I need to stop, right? I believe that my future is at stake and I believe the future of my family is at stake, these boys that I'm raising. I will not continue to go throughout the rest of my life at this age indulging. I have to pay more attention to my fitness, my health. You know, I just recently brought some artesian water. It has all the minerals in it that we need, trace minerals, right? And, you know, we go through bottled water around here. Like I don't put a limit on how much water people can drink. I just don't want them to drink it from the faucet. So we have bottled water. I'm buying bottled water constantly. I would say probably $30 a week just on bottled water. We drink a lot of water. And for some reason, I was at Earth Fair and I decided I'm going to try this artesian water. And it's pretty, you know, it's pretty expensive. It's not cheap. I don't think I would ever be in a position to drink it all day, right? But a bottle a day or every other day. But my first bottle of this particular water, I literally within 30 minutes could tell that my bones responded differently. I didn't have as much ache. I'm talking about 30 minutes of sipping on artesian water because it has these trace minerals in it. My husband was like, "How does it taste?" I said, "It tastes like a mountain." Like it doesn't have that fresh, that clean feeling that I get when I drink like Nestle water, right? It doesn't have that smooth sensation on my palate. It feels like I'm drinking something that has minerals in it. But my body loved it. So there's things that I know that I need to do and that I can do so that I'm not so wasteful, right? so that I can enjoy some of the things like that mineral water, right? The price of the YMCA membership is about $75 for my whole family. I can use that money to buy the type of water that I personally want to drink, right? And it benefits me. I want you to do that today. I want you to think about, where have you been intolerant regarding certain spiritual principles or certain behaviors? And I want you to challenge yourself to become more tolerant, meaning that I want you to figure out what you need to do different and how you need to respond differently, so that this recovery or this life of purity that you claim you have, that it shows. People should not, when they find out that you're in recovery or hear that you are a spiritual minded person, they shouldn't be like, what, really? My name is MightyStream. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day.